Carol, everywhere you look in your house, you see lovely pieces scattered here, there and everywhere. Would you say you're a hoarder?
Yes, probably. I haven't sort of got rid of a lot of stuff that did belong to my mother or my mother-in-law. So this is why the house is so full, I suppose.
You mentioned your mother-in-law. Lots of the pieces belong to her. What sort of character was she?
Very strong-willed. Used to speak her mind. But I got on extremely well with her. I think she thought I was a daughter she didn't have.
Ah, right.
She had 2 sons, you see, so...
Are you originally from this area?
No, I was born in North Yorkshire.
Ah, right.
Yes, lovely part of the world it was, Wensleydale.
And what did your parents do? My
father was a barber. And my mother was just a housewife, really. And we came down just before I was 12 to the end of the road here, more or less.
That's a journey and a half, isn't it?
It was. I only remember the fact that we sat on the sofa in the back of the furniture van with the budgie hanging up in its cage. It got some very funny looks.
And did you remember sort of your parents having a bit of a clear out before the move or not? Did they bring everything with them?
I don't remember. I do remember lots of things that my mother did have. She had some wonderful brasses and copperware. Some years later, she sold those to, or gave them, I think, to somebody who had a house down in the south of England. And I keep thinking, oh, I wish I had those now.
So how will your 2 daughters, is that right?
Yes.
How will they feel about you giving all this stuff away?
They won't mind, because I've asked them if they like them. And I know what they do like, so that they will have those anyway. And when I have gone things that they don't like, they can call in cash in the attic if necessary, can't they?
Of course
it's
they can.
Still going then.
Well, listen, we've procrastinated long enough, I think. We should carry on.
Venturia enough, I think.
No, it's been fascinating, but I think we've got to carry on with the rummage, so come on, let's go.
All right, then, fine.
Well, whilst we've been relaxing, John's been working hard in the search. And he's uncovered a hoard of silver, including 3 sets of cutlery, some bridge pencils, and a Bester case. These were more items inherited from Carol's late mother-in-law. John values them collectively for an impressive £150 to £200. There's certainly no shortage of stunning items in Carol's lovely home. I think John's in his element.
Now this looks like something we can take to auction, Joy. Wow, now that is interesting. Do you know what this is?
It's a tea caddy.
You're right, it is a tea caddy. Have you ever seen it before?
Saw it once before, and I did think they contained cards.
Well, I can see what you mean with the card shape. Yeah, most definitely. And the caddy really developed in the age when tea was prohibitively expensive. And now they're just loved as decorative objects. But this is quite an unusual one in that you've got 3 caddies inside, each one with a zinc lining to keep them fresh. But I don't recall seeing one with 3 compartments inside. But this is actually a nice box. It's a real tour de force in marquetry and parquetry. In fact, well, parquetry to be correct. Marquetry are pictures or patterns in wood. Parquetry is geometric patterns. Probably dating from the 19th century. That's a real nice example. And look at the woods. We've got some satin wood, and these corners, these little spandrel pieces, are probably stained boxwood. Little bit of damage here and there, nothing major. We've got a bit of a near missing off the corner there.
Can that be repaired?
Yes, it can be repaired. It's not too difficult, but that's a dying trade. It's a cabinet maker's job to do it properly, and so it can be a little bit expensive. Value-wise, well, I think we should be able to get between £100 and £200 for it.
Really?
You think you'd be happy with that?
Should be well pleased. I would be.
Well, jolly good. Well, all that talk
And I'm
of tea...
a coffee drinker.
Well, that's another terrific find and takes our total so far to just shy of £800. But with a hefty £1,500 target to reach, we've still got some way to go, so the hard work continues. In the lounge, Carol decides the time has come to part with her collection of crystal glass, made by the famous Irish company Waterford. Unfortunately, the resale value of crystal glass is always only a fraction of what it was when new, so auction houses are a great place to buy, but not so great when selling. John thinks £50 to £100 is all we can expect for this collection on sale day.
Now, I'm guessing by the fact that these were hidden in the back of the cabinet that you're not a massive fan?
No, they're not my particular choice. I prefer the Ladro.
What's the story behind them, then?
My mother had them for years and years and years. And then, of course, I got them when she died. The only one I do like is that one. Melody, I think she's called.
Well, interesting that that's your favourite, Carol, and that they all came from Mum. Do you know that she collected using any sort of theme, any rule of thumb?
No, she just bought them when she liked them. interesting.
Well, people often collect for different reasons. One, they'll collect a certain series. They may collect the work of a certain modeller, and there are some great modelers from
I
Dalton.
see, yes.
People like Charles Noak, Leslie Harradine, Mary Nicol, and a lady that was there for a long time, about 40 years, by the name of Peggy Davis.
Right.
And these, all three of them, are by Peggy Davis.
Are they?
So that's why I asked, was there any particular
Golly,
reason
that's
that
a
all three came from the same? Also interesting that you say that is your favourite model, Melody. She's from a series called Teenagers, and she's the scarcest of those three. I'd put the three of them together, but I'd put them in at about 80 to 120 pounds, something like that.
So 80 to 120 pounds gets you to probably Llandudno Beach. Not quite warm enough for you, so let's carry on, shall we? Come on.
Come on.
Spurred on by that thought of a holiday in the sun, Carol decides to add her three-piece silver tea service to the list of items heading to auction. It was again inherited from her mother-in-law. John thinks it could be of interest to any collectors in the sale room. He gives it a hefty £250 to £350 price tag. Now, that's what I like to hear.
Carol?
Found my boxes.
I've found your boxes. These would be interesting to send to auction if you're not too attached to them.
Not really, just that was my mother's, and that was my mother-in-law's.
They were both bought separately by
Yes,
two different people. They
completely,
didn't
yes.
holiday together?
No, absolutely not.
Well, that's remarkable that they've both bought two Limoges boxes that are identical in form and shape, but they were bought separately. So would you be prepared to sell something like these?
Yes, providing it's a reasonable
Right,
price.
well, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Well, to most people today, it does represent high-quality decorating on porcelain, but the Limoges reputation goes back much further than that, back to about the 12th and 13th century, but a different type of enamelling altogether, and it's literally ground-coloured glass mixed with pigment, painted onto copper bases and then fired so it vitrifies again and becomes glass-like. Well, in the 18th century, there was a huge craze for true hard-paste porcelain. Eventually, the Europeans finally discovered how to make it, first at Meissen and later at places like Sèvres and in this country. So these are actually true hard-paste porcelain. The piece has been put together in they've cut sections of slab. Then they've been fired to make them into true hard-paste porcelain, and then they're decorated.
So do they start with a basic colour?
They start with the colour. What they do is they start with the colours that are fired at the highest temperatures.
I see,
So each time it's fired again, you're reducing the temperature. That way you don't affect the colours you've already put on. And if we look under the bottom, the addition of that name there, France, Limoges, France, suggests early 20th century. But I think in auction, because I like them and I think they're in good condition, I'd see no problem with them making between £100 and £200, something like that.
That sounds good. Lovely. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, we're not doing too bad, but we're not there yet,
gotta
so
find
come
some
on.
more. Right.
Well, that's another great addition towards the luxury holiday, and our £1,500 target is definitely inching ever closer.